From Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, this is the news at 10. Live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight, Ayotunde Balogun. Hello and welcome. Tonight, Plateau Governor Caleb Mutfwang declares all LGAs free from bandit control, assures residents of safety. Kaduna State Government launches Safe School policy to improve student enrollment and strengthen security for both teachers and learners. Lagos High Court Special Offences Division denies businessman Fred Ajudwa's latest bail application, citing ongoing legal concerns. And Hamas-run health ministry reports 104 deaths in Gaza within 24 hours, including 7 more children lost to malnutrition.
In on business, bull run continues at the Nigerian exchange as stocks hit historic high, crossing 139,000 points.
On sports news tonight, new signing Victor Gyökeres is set to make his highly anticipated Arsenal debut as the Gunners take on North London rivals Tottenham Hotspur in a pre-season friendly in Hong Kong.
And from the nation's capital, nurses under the umbrella National Association of Nigerian Nurses and Midwives embark on nationwide 7-day warning strike over welfare issues.
We begin from Nigeria's north-central region, and in spite of challenges witnessed over time as far as security is concerned, there's some interesting news coming from Plateau State. Governor Caleb Mutfwang says no local government area is currently under the control of bandits or criminal elements. He made the declaration during a media parley in Jos, the Plateau State capital, where he also highlighted his administration's achievements across various sectors.
Governor Caleb Mutfwang of Plateau State is hosting this media parley to provide a mid-term assessment of his administration.
Governance is for the benefit of the people.
Insecurity on the plateau dominates the briefing as the governor laments the impact of insecurity in the state. However, he's glad that no part of the state is under the control of bandits and other criminals.
It's unfortunate that the security challenge has not abated as we had hoped. But one thing we have done is that sometimes it's difficult for people to appreciate what government has done when these killings continue. But I want you to know that if we hadn't done the much we had done with the intelligence at our disposal, by now Plateau State would be a different place. There are so many details we cannot unveil, but I'm glad to tell you that, in fact, among the states in north-central Nigeria, the Plateau State is relatively safer than others, because at the moment, we do not have any local government in Plateau State that is completely a no-go area.
The governor has pledged to intensify efforts to end insecurity in the state.
We'll be able to push back, and we'll be able to substantially regain ground in Wase. That's why today the grazing reserve in Wase is available for investment by the grace of God. Other security challenges continue to confront us, but we continue to redouble our efforts, rejig our efforts, to recalibrate our efforts to make sure that we stem this tide. And I'm sure that with the efforts we are putting in place, that we're going to see significant improvements not too long from now.
Governor Mutfwang has assured the people of his renewed commitment to delivering good governance, expressing hope to restore public confidence and rekindle the people's hope in his administration.
Staying with Plateau, and in the aftermath of the brutal attack on Bindi Jebu community in Riam local government area of the state, hundreds of survivors, mostly women, children and the elderly, have taken refuge in a makeshift internally displaced persons camp. However, reports say many are still grappling with the trauma of that night, living in an overcrowded hall with little or nothing to eat.
This is all that is left of Bindi, a once quiet community shattered by violence. On July the 15th, gunmen stormed the village in the dead of night, killing 17 people, wounding many, and leaving destruction in their wake. The dead have since been laid to rest in a mass grave, while the pain lingers for survivors. Their homes are gone, their farmlands destroyed, and their lives disrupted. At this internally displaced persons camp, hundreds have found temporary shelter. Among them is this mother of 7 who fled the attack barefoot with her children.
We heard sporadic gunshots around 3 a.m. and we were confused. While we were wondering what to do, they broke into the pastorum and caught many people using machetes. They hit the little children and pushed them outside before burning the houses, burning everyone that was inside.
Her story mirrors that of many others here. They have lost not just homes, but livelihoods and loved ones. The conditions in this camp are harsh. Food is scarce, water is limited, and many are in need of medical attention.
A lot of people are here in the camp, especially small children, the aged. So they are much here. And most of them are lying on the floor, on the bare floor, on the ground. So if there were need for any assistance from corporate bodies, even from government, so that they will have a place to sleep. And most of at times, the food they get here is minimal.
In the aftermath of the attack, the National Youth Wing of the Baron Molders Association held a press briefing calling for immediate aid for the people.
Humanitarian situation is very, very appalling, because at the moment, these people have only received a little, particularly from the faith-based organization, who have reached out in their own little way to their class. But there are thousands of internally displaced persons, not only in Rio, but across other local governments in the state.
For those displaced persons, survival is now a daily struggle. However, beyond survival lies a deeper longing for justice, for peace, and for a place to call home once again.
In Niger, the State Police Command has successfully reunited 35 victims of kidnapping, comprising 16 women and 19 children, with their families after weeks in protective custody. The victims were rescued from various hideouts across Kagara, Tegina, and Agwara areas of the state. The official handover ceremony was presided over by the Deputy Commissioner of Police in charge of investigation, Mr. Ibrahim Adamo, in Minna, the Niger state capital.
These are victims of abductions in various parts of Niger State. They've been in protective custody since their rescue. The victims include women and children who were rescued from the hideout of bandits and criminals in the state from July 3, 2025 to date. According to the police, the victims received psychosocial support, including counseling, rehabilitation, and de-radicalization processes ahead of their reintegration into their communities.
4 women, 7 children, and another one with 7 women, 8 children also. All in all, we had a total of 35 people. In the course of their movement, we were able to arrest somebody who was transporting them in a vehicle. How would it be possible for a person to be carrying these people? And the investigation reveals that he went to their camp to load the vehicle with them. So that one is with us, and we are going to investigate and find out what the connectivity is.
The victims were formally handed over to the chairman of Rafi and Chiroro local government areas of the state.
We are very happy. We are appreciative of
the police work, and other security agencies since the insurgency. And today here we are, reuniting those ones that have been rescued by the police to our people in our local government.
We really appreciate each and everyone that have contributed towards these success. We also the channel TV that are always taking care of to make sure they are passing an information to where necessary, and the information is the reading. We appreciate. May God reward each and everyone that is here with us, and we are praying for those that remain. May God also respect them.
Speaking in Hausa, the victims recount their ordeal.
We passed through a lot at the hands of these bandits. We just had to be patient until security personnel intercepted and rescued us. All we did was pray to God to save us. Today we are safe and we pray never to experience such again in our lives. We thank the police for feeding us and giving us medical attention to keep us safe. I was kidnapped with one of my children, but now I am grateful we are alive and going home. I have 2 children with my husband and one was with me in captivity. I had just gotten married 6 months before I was kidnapped with my husband. I was only 16 years old. 5 of us were kidnapped, 3 females and 2 males. I had 2 children with my late husband. We were taken to the Sambisa forest and later to the Cameroon forest before they brought us back to the Niger forest, where we were finally rescued by security personnel.
As they begin their journey back to normal life, authorities continue to intensify efforts to locate and rescue others still in captivity.
Away from Nigeria's north central now to Kaduna, where education gets a boost with the unveiling of the 2 key policy documents by the Kaduna state government aimed at enhancing academic enrollment and learning, as well as strengthening security and violence-free schools across the state. Speaking at the launch of the documents in Kaduna, the State Commissioner for Education, Professor Abubakar Sambo, explains that the initiative will enhance data-driven education planning and provide safer learning environments for students.
In a significant move towards transforming the education sector in Kaduna, the state government is taking steps to ensure safe schools, improve learning and enrollment outcomes by launching the annual school census reports and the school safety, security and violence-free documents. The policy documents are designed by the State Ministry of Education to enhance data-driven education planning and also to provide safer learning environments in response to the security challenges in the country.
The policy outlined measures to protect learners, teachers, and the communities. It aligns with the national policy. We adopted from the national policy. The national was the first to develop the national policy on safety and security. So the Kaduna state is the first state to adopt the policy in Nigeria.
According to the state government, the documents were developed through strategic stakeholder collaboration to ensure sustainable implementation.
Kaduna state is setting the pace for the country, and the expectation is that the quality and standards of education will rise. Actually, quality over the past 2 years has started improving, and we hope we are going to see that in the next 2 years the quality will even go higher, so that other states can emulate the good example which His Excellency Senator Dr. Obasani CON is setting for the country.
These 2 documents show the seriousness of the Kaduna state government in setting the pace when it comes to education reforms to ensure that, one, our learners learn in safe environments, and then secondly, to ensure that the planning for education in Kaduna state is data-driven.
The state government is hoping that these initiatives will close the education gap created by socio-economic challenges like poverty and insecurity, and ultimately eradicate cases of out-of-school children in the state.
In part 2, after the break, Nigeria unveils 10-year action plan to drive innovation and resilience across food systems. Please stay with us. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, broadcasting live from Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. Plateau State Governor Caleb Mutfwang declares all LGAs free from bandit control, assures residents of safety. Kaduna State Government launches safe school policy to improve student enrollment and strengthen security for both teachers and learners. Lagos High Court Special Offences Division denies businessman Fred Ajudua's latest bail application, citing ongoing legal concerns. And Hamas-run Health Ministry reports 104 deaths in Gaza within 24 hours, including 7 more children lost to malnutrition. We head to the courts now, and 2 cases of public interest came up today at the Special Offences Division of the Lagos High Court sitting in Ikeja. Before Justice Mojisola Dada, the former managing director of AMCON, Mr. Ahmed Kuru, was granted permission to travel abroad for urgent medical treatment. The same court also refused to grant the fresh bail application filed by businessman Mr. Fred Ajudua. Our judiciary correspondent, Shola Shieli, now reports.
The Lagos High Court Ikeja is devoid of its usual hustle and bustle as judges of the court have proceeded on their annual vacation. But here at the Special Offences Division of the court, Justice Mojisola Dada is sitting as the vacation judge, especially to hear urgent matters. One of the cases before the court is the ex parte application by the former managing director of the Assets Management Corporation of Nigeria, AMCON, Mr. Ahmed Kuru, seeking permission to travel abroad for medical treatment. Though the nature of the illness was not disclosed in court, counsel to the defendant Oyiko Badejo Kusoya told the judge that the application for her client to be allowed to travel abroad disclosed facts that necessitated extreme urgency. Counsel to the EFCC, Senior Advocate of Nigeria Wahab Shitu, had no objections to the application. However, he raised an alarm that the Anti-Graft Commission has an intelligence report of attempts by Mr. Kuru's co-defendants, the former receiver manager of Arik Air Limited, Mr. Kamilu Omokide, and Arik's Air Chief Executive Officer, Captain Roy Ilebodu, to dispose of some of the aircrafts associated with Arik Air, the subject matter of the criminal proceedings. He wondered if the travel application was not an alibi designed to achieve this objective and asked the court to order status quo ante bellum. After listening to all the parties, the judge noted the concerns raised by the EFCC counsel, but declined to make any restraining orders to preserve the assets, as no document was exhibited before the court to warrant the granting of same. She granted Mr. Kuru permission to travel abroad for treatment and ordered that his passport be released to him. In another case before the court, Justice Dada refused to grant the fresh bail application filed by businessman Mr. Fred Ajudua. Through his counsel, Senior Advocate of Nigeria Lalikan Ojo, Ajudua asked the court to admit him to bail pending the determination of his trial. The counsel also told the court that his client, who was assisted to court by some medical personnel from the Lagos University Teaching Hospital, LUTH, has a chronic kidney disease requiring treatment. Counsel to the EFCC, Seidu Ate, however, raised objections to the request for bail. Ate submitted that the defendant was already before the Supreme Court seeking certain reliefs, and he should have directed his application to that court. He urged the trial court to refuse bail. In her ruling, Justice Dada held that she was inclined to await the outcome of the decision of the Supreme Court and to abide by same. The court subsequently adjourned to October 10 for continuation of trial. Ajudua is standing trial for allegedly defrauding a Palestinian national of the sum of $1,043,000 under false pretenses. Shola Shieli, Channels Television News.
Nigeria has unveiled a new strategy to revolutionize its agricultural sector over the next decade. Speaking at a high-level dialogue between African youth agri-food entrepreneurs and African leaders during the United Nations Food Systems Summit in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, Vice President Kashim Shettima emphasized the importance of investing in young people to drive innovation and resilience across food systems.
Leaders across Africa gather at the United Nations Food Systems Summit to address one of humanity's most pressing challenges: how to feed a growing population sustainably. The Nigerian delegation at the summit is led by Vice President Kashim Shettima, who is joined by the Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Mr. Abubakar Kyari, among other officials.
Ambitions. The National Agricultural Land Development Agency and the
Nigerian delegation used the summit to outline a 10-year plan focused on empowering youths to lead the charge in transforming agriculture at home.
We are optimistic about the future because we possess 70.8 million hectares of agricultural land, yet less than half is cultivated. We have 230 billion cubic meters of fresh water and rainfall patterns that favor climate-resilient farming across 2/3 of our territory. This is not just capacity, it is destiny. Yet we know that destiny must be financed. We are rethinking the way we finance food, and so we are unlocking access to credit and de-risking agriculture for banks.
The Vice President also listed several ongoing initiatives, including Nigeria's collaboration with the Netherlands and the International Institute of Tropical Agriculture under the Youth in Agribusiness Initiative.
We have declared a state of emergency on food security and are moving with urgency and resolve. But this is not panic, it is policy.
The United Nations Deputy Secretary General, Amina Mohamed, decried the worsening global food insecurity, noting that over 35 million children under the age of 5 face acute malnutrition.
Dear friends, communities are trapped around the world in relentless cycles of hardship. Over 37 million children under 5 will face acute malnutrition this year, almost the entire population of Canada. Of those, nearly 10 million will suffer severe wasting, the deadliest form of undernutrition. In many countries facing the greatest challenges, courage is on display at this moment. But we must ensure that courage is matched with long-term solutions that can result in resilience and sustainability.
On the sidelines of the summit, Nigeria's Vice President signed a Memorandum of Understanding on Green Legacy Program, which is expected to accelerate Nigeria's targets of planting 25 billion trees.
Always by consensus decision-making of all.
Reiterating Nigeria's commitments to the Green Revolution Initiative, the Vice President described President Bola Tinubu as a transformational leader bent on redefining the meaning and concept of leadership in Africa.
We hope to plant 10 billion trees. We'll completely mobilize the entire national architecture. Yeah. We might fall short of that ambition, so be it.
Yeah, exactly.
But we have to aim at the sky. And we have been led far behind. We ought not to be where we are now, honestly. And the president is determined to change the narrative.
Another organization under the aegis of the Southern Cooperation has chosen Nigeria as the site to build its first ever South-South Technology Transfer Center for Africa, as Nigeria is proposed to host its African South-South Summit.
Talking politics now, the presidential spokesman Daniel Bwala says the coming together of some persons on the African Democratic Congress, ADC, cannot be a threat to President Bola Tinubu and the APC ahead of the 2027 general elections. Mr. Bwala adds that President Tinubu and his executives have secured Nigerians and provided the dividends of democracy. On his part, the spokesperson of the ADC, Bolaji Abdullahi, explains that the present administration has failed in their promises to the people, and the newly formed coalition is ready to take over power and deliver the dividends of democracy to Nigerians. They both spoke on our political program, Politics Today.
This coalition issue you're hearing is overblown. There's no coalition anywhere. Do you know why? Those who left the PDP, who are the proponent of this coalition, is just a handful of people that left. The governors of People's Democratic Party have not followed them. The National Working Committee have not followed them. The national executives have not followed them. Where is the coalition? They are even toasting to get somebody to come and run on the platform of PDP. Where is the coalition?
What I know for a fact is that Peter Obi is in the coalition. I also know for a fact that this is not an Atiku coalition. What is at stake goes beyond. Like I said repeatedly, the ADC is not built around anybody's individual ambition. What is at stake is much bigger than every individual. Because what we have tried in the last 2 years have failed. APC promised change. And over 10 years, APC has done this. Because every attempt that this government administration may make to distance themselves from the last administration is not possible because it is the same ADC government. and they have failed.
All right.
And Nigerians need to try something else. And this ADC represents the alternative.
Let's now head to the nation's capital, and Millicent Walker is standing by to give us the latest from our Abuja studios. Over to you, Millicent. Great to see you.
Same here. Thank you, Ayotunde. Well, it's not politics from the nation's capital, but rather agitation for better welfare. Well, nurses in Taraba and Kaduna states have joined the 7-day nationwide strike declared by the National Association of Nurses and Midwives amid appeal from the Minister of Labour and Employment to shelve the strike. Already, the industrial action by these medical workers have severely disrupted emergency and routine medical services at major government hospitals in the affected state. At a private meeting with the leadership of the association in Abuja, the Minister of Labour appealed to the nurses to embrace dialogue over the strike.
Is day one of the 7-day strike declared by the National Association of Nurses and Midwives, and the resultant disruption of medical services to patients is visible. At this National Specialist Hospital for the care of eye, nose and throat in Kaduna State, our crew met an almost empty facility. We were told off camera that patients at the emergency ward were discharged due to the absence of medical support for nurses. The national chairman of Federal Health Institutions, Nurses and Midwives accuses the federal government of being insensitive to the plight of Nigerian nurses and midwives.
The unconducive working environment for nurses in Nigeria is unbearable. We have been patient for a very long time. I don't think anybody has ever known nurses going on strike in Nigeria because of the compassionate aspect of our job. We don't want our patients to die. We don't want to subject them to difficulty. But the federal government is not actually taking this into consideration. But after this 7 days warning strike, we are going to review the effect of the strike. And if government didn't intervene, we are going to issue government another 21 days ultimatum, which is going to lead to indefinite strike.
The situation is the same in Taraba State, as the state's chairman of the association explains the rationale for their action.
We find ourselves where we are today, and the reason is because of our demands that the federal government, since they have not yet implemented, we try our best to make a dialogue with them, but all these things prove abortive.
When medical workers embark on strike, patients are the ones who bear the brunt.
Oh, it's been really terrible because what the nurses are meant to do, the doctors are struggling and they can't do it because they're few. And like just today, my veins clotted like 3-4 times because I want to wee, there's nobody to remove it, there's nobody to change the cannula and stuff. So it's been a struggle, and they had to move the cannula, the giving sets to this hand. So I've just been in a lot of pain, no assistance. It's terrible without the nurses. I just hope that this whole thing is sorted.
However, the Minister of Labour in a statement appealed to the striking nurses to embrace dialogue and shelve their action. Part of the statement says the government will continue its meeting with the nurses on Friday to resolve the issues. The nurses are demanding for upward review of professional allowances, creation of the Department of Nursing and the Federal Ministry of Health, the inclusion of nurses in the headship of health policy-making bodies, among several others.
Still ahead on the news at 10, stocks hit historic high at the Nigerian Stock Exchange as bull run continues, crossing 139,000 points. That's on Business News. Please join us again. You're watching the news at 10, coming to you live from our Abuja studios. We're staying with health. The Coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Mohammed Pate, has commissioned several health facilities across Maiduguri, the Borno state capital, as part of efforts to boost healthcare delivery. The commissioning coincides with the 110th Annual General Conference of the Chief Medical Directors of all federal health institutions, hosted by the University of Maiduguri Teaching Hospital.
The coordinating Minister of Health, Professor Ali Pate, is received by Governor Babagana Zulum at the Maiduguri International Airport in Borno State. The minister is leading a federal government delegation to the state. The first project to be commissioned is the Brigadier General Abakiari General Hospital, a facility formerly used as COVID-19 isolation center. The center is equipped with state-of-the-art facilities as officials of the state government give an overview of the equipment at the hospital. The minister then flags off ambulance operations for the Borno State Emergency Medical Services. The entourage then proceed to the Federal Neuropsychology Hospital to commission a College of Nursing school, a molecular laboratory, and an office complex. The governor and the chief medical director of the University of Maiduguri lead the delegation to commission an interventional radiology center, the heart center, cancer center, medical ICT center, and other health facilities.
That's all. This will save lives. This is one of the kind. And it's here.
The final destination for the minister is the annual conference of the all chief medical directors of federal health institutions, including teaching hospitals, federal medical centers, and specialist hospitals. The meeting is aimed at reviewing performance in healthcare delivery and also strategizing for improved delivery.
We are really very grateful. It has never been good to the teaching hospitals in terms of funding as we are getting it now during your time, Honorable Minister.
The coordinating minister used the opportunity to speak on the investments made by the federal government to improve the health sector.
All our federal teaching hospitals, amazing things are beginning to happen. As the transformation is taking hold, you, the chief medical directors of the federal teaching hospitals, federal medical centers, specialist hospitals, are the ones driving that transformation.
Professor Zulu acknowledges the efforts of the federal government in the nation's health sector.
It is gratifying to know that the University of Maiduguri Teaching Hospital is rising to the occasion and making headway in the provision of specialized healthcare services. Which is evidence in the recent conduct of kidney transplant here in the University of Niger. The Borno State government therefore pledges to support this initiative and is ready to provide all the partnership required.
The week-long meeting is expected to come up with sustainable solutions that will complement the efforts of the government to improve the sector.
Well, that's it from the nation's capital. It's back to Ayetunde for more on the news at 10.
Many thanks, Millicent. In Ogoni land, 2 international NGOs have praised the hydrocarbon remediation pollution project HYPREP for visible progress in the Ogoni cleanup exercise. Friends of the Earth International and Center LSD both commended the project for achieving 93% completion in mangrove restoration. During a tour led by the HYPREP coordinator, Professor Nenibari Nizabe, the groups planted mangrove seedlings to mark World Mangrove Day. Our correspondent, Deborah Agbalama, reports.
The Hydrocarbon Pollution Remediation Project, HYPREP, has taken civil society groups on a field tour of ongoing cleanup projects in Ogoni land. Led by project coordinator Professor Nenibari Nizabe, the visit covers portable water points, livelihood programs, and the Center of Excellence for Environmental Restoration. The groups, including Friends of the Earth International and Center LSD, commend the progress, describing the interventions as having real impact in local communities.
The oil companies have destroyed the environment, and there is a need for restoration of the environment. My commendation goes to High Prep Coordinator and the management team. Our expectation is that this momentum that has been gathered for the past 2 years should be sustained, because the UNEP report indicated that it will take about 30 years to clean up the Ogoni land.
Mangrove restoration.
At Bomu Waterfront, a major mangrove restoration site, visitors joined a symbolic tree planting to mark World Mangrove Day.
We got the smell and we feel how bad this for the local communities. And also we understand this, how the water pollution is there, and the river is a living system. So we cannot kill these living systems by putting oil into the water. And I'm glad to see that this cleanup is happening in this area. And also the bioremediation is one of the measures they have taken. And we are happy that the mangrove plants are coming up.
HyPrep reports a 93% completion of its Phase 1 mangrove restoration targets, with plans to create over 2,000 jobs for Ogoni youths.
We get the best technologies on the international market and apply it to solve the problem. But at the same time, we are also generating data in novel areas, so that at the end of this project, or as this project is progressing, we will not just report remediation, restoration successes, but also to contribute to the body of knowledge. And that is exactly what we are doing. This center will serve as a knowledge repository, data repository. So we are doing exactly that.
A special prolific wildling award was presented to a mother mangrove tree that has produced over 15,000 seedlings for future restoration efforts. The tour concluded with a visit to completed water projects and the Center of Excellence for Environmental Restoration. Deborah Abalama, Channels Television News.
Business News is up next with Will Ebong.
Welcome to Business News Now. The Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Chief Lateef Fagbemi SAN, says Nigeria's newly signed tax laws are designed to place the country on a firm economic footing. Speaking at an annual workshop on communication sector issues, he described the reforms as timely tools for improving revenue collection and public trust in the tax system.
It is important to also take into consideration the agitations, the misgivings, the concerns that people had expressed before the passage. When these concerns were expressed, the President asked that the critical stakeholders be engaged. They were engaged, and so what we see today is a product of that engagement, and let people see the advantage, that it is not all about the micro aspect. It also deals significantly with the macro, because it is the macro aspect that produces the micro, in the sense that if you look at, we will get money from collecting tax, that is not the main aim. The main aim is to have the economy, trade, and other economic activities well grounded, take its root. It is from taking the root that you can be talking of collection of taxes.
And we head to the consumer space, where UAC of Niger is set to acquire Chi Limited, makers of Chivita and Hollandia, from the Coca-Cola company. We see that the deal, pending regulatory approval, will boost UAC's footprint in Nigeria's consumer goods market. Now, Coca-Cola says the sale aligns with its asset-light strategy, allowing it to focus on top brands. It recently pledged $1 billion investment in Nigeria over 5 years, subject to a stable business climate. UAC's boss, Fola Ayesimoju, says the move builds on Chi's strong legacy. Meanwhile, shares of UACN rallied to a 52-week high following the news. Speaking of highs at the domestic stock market, equities pulled in yet another stellar performance. The NGX All-Share Index surged to a fresh record of over 139,000 points, pushing year-to-date above 35%. Inijon Mekwa tells us more.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Stock Market Report. Well, the story is still good at the NGX today. Again, that bull run is still on. The market gained 869 billion naira, bringing the market cap to over 88 trillion naira. And it does seem like it's going to be a new day, a new level. So today we hit another new record high in the market, 139,278.67. The market gained almost 1% at the close of trade. So that is mostly because of the fugas. Well, the fugas, except first whole call, had positive movement. UBA 0.42, GTCO more than 4%, Accessco 1.47, and Zenith also added its part of about 2.7%. Well, others in the market also contributed to this. For instance, the consumer goods, we saw Dangote gaining 0.10, NASCON gained, PZ gained, and so that counter is up. But the only but oil and gas is there. Perhaps investors are waiting for the results, financial results, which we've been seeing from other counters. Perhaps that will move sentiment to the positive for oil and gas. But in spite of this, the market is still positive and the bull is still reigning.
Thank you, Ini. Let's see if the bull is reigning on the floor of other major stock markets around the world. And that's business news. It's back to you, Ayotunde.
Thank you, Will. The Hamas-run health ministry in the Palestinian territory says 7 more people have died from malnutrition in the Gaza Strip in the past 24 hours. It says the total number of malnutrition deaths since the start of the Israel-Hamas war in 2023 has now reached 154, including 89 children. Here's Tom Apuse with more international news and around the world in 5 from our London studio.
Good evening and welcome to the Channel Studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Tsunami warnings have been downgraded after a powerful 8.8 magnitude earthquake hit eastern Russia. The tremor, which had a depth of 18 kilometers according to the US Geological Survey, is one of the strongest earthquakes ever on record. The earthquake hit near Russia's Kamchatka Peninsula at around 11:25 in the morning local time. In Japan, 1.9 million people had been told to evacuate.
Stay calm, cooperate, and get to high ground if at all possible where you are. We promise to give you complete updates. Right now, the expected time of anything that might happen here in Oahu is going to be somewhere around 7:15. We're expecting it to be at Kauai around 7:10. We'll know. We've been told by Civil Defense that when it passes the island of Midway, we'll get a good read as to what we can expect. And that's not scheduled to happen for a while yet, but we promise to keep you updated.
Ukraine's armed forces have confirmed a Russian missile strike hit a military training unit, causing a number of casualties. Ukrainian ground forces said that 3 service personnel were known to have been killed and 18 had been wounded. It has been reported to have been in the Kharkiv region north of Kyiv, which borders both Russia and Belarus. Russia's Ministry of Defense released video of what it claimed was a strike by Iskander ballistic missiles in a wooded area that involved more than 20 cluster-type explosions. Donald Trump says India will face tariffs as high as 25% if it fails to finalize a trade deal with the US this week. The US has set a 1st of August deadline for India and several other countries to either reach a trade agreement or face increased tariffs. Indian and American officials have been negotiating a trade deal for the past few months, but officials have alternated between sounding optimistic and cautious about when it will be announced.
Is the deal with India finalized?
No, it's not.
Okay. So what rate are you accepting?
Well, we're going to see. We're going to see. But India's been a good friend, but India has charged basically more tariffs than almost any other country. You know that, right? Over the years. But now I'm in charge. You just can't do that. I think the trade deals are working out very well, hopefully for everybody. But for the United States, they're very, very good.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All L40 engines generating...
A new satellite touted as the world's most expensive Earth observation satellite has been launched to keep a hawk's eye view on Earth, detecting and reporting even the smallest changes in land, sea and ice sheets.
PSLV and beautiful silhouette brightening the Sriharikota sky.
Data from the joint mission by Indian Space Agency ISRO and NASA will help not just the two countries but the world in preparing for dealing with disasters. NASA, which already has more than 24 observation satellites in space, says NISAR is the most sophisticated radar we've ever built. Tens of thousands of fans have gathered to pay respects to Ozzy Osbourne in his home city of Birmingham. The Black Sabbath singer's coffin was driven along Broad Street in the city centre. His family, visibly upset, took the opportunity to look at tributes. His death came just over 2 weeks since he performed at the Black Sabbath Back to the Beginning gig at Villa Park in Birmingham. And this is the moment a Spanish fighter jet was forced to perform an evasive manoeuvre during an air show in Gijón. Video footage shows the Spanish F-18 fighter flying at a low altitude when it suddenly turned upside down, avoiding a flock of birds and hurtling towards the sea before flying away. In a statement, the Spanish Air Force said one of our F-18 fighter jets carried out an evasive manoeuvre upon detecting a flock of birds in its trajectory.
And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel studios in Lagos.
Thank you, Simon. Welcome to Sports News. Turkish champions Galatasaray have completed the historic signing of Super Eagles and Napoli striker Victor Osimhen, reportedly spending a Super League record of €75 million to bring the player back to the club on a long-term deal. After lengthy negotiations with Napoli officials in Milan to finalize the deal, the clubs eventually agreed on an overall package obliterating the previous Turkish record, which stood at around €20 million following Yusuf Nasri's move to Fenerbahce last summer. Now, despite reported interest from several other European sides, as well as Saudi Arabia outfit Al Hilal, Osimhen decided he wanted to return to Galatasaray. Arsenal manager Mikel Arteta says Victor Gyökeres could make his debut for the Gunners in the North London derby in front of 50,000 Hong Kong fans. The $67 million Swedish striker came through an open training session at Kai Tak Stadium, where Arsenal will take on Tottenham Hotspur on Thursday in the bitter rivals' first clash outside of the United Kingdom. And Barcelona coach Hansi Flick believes Marcus Rashford is a fantastic player, but adds that the English forward has to improve. Rashford joined the Spanish champions on loan from Manchester United this week and played his first game with the side in Japan, ahead of Barcelona's friendly against FC Seoul in South Korea's capital. Flick hopes the 27-year-old can show his quality for the Catalan Giants this season. And women's world number 2 Coco Gauff has battled into the third round of the WTA Montreal Open by outlasting fellow American Danielle Collins 7-5, 4-6, 7-6. Gauff won the last 6 points of the match to capture her opener in her first hard-court tune-up event on the road to the U.S. Open, which starts on August 24th. Goff, seeking an 11th career WTA title, fired 23 double faults against 3 aces, but closed out the match with an ace after 2 hours and 55 minutes.
What does that say about Coco Gauff? After all they've been through together, these two, the first meeting, an unforgettable first encounter.
That's sports, and a wrap. At this point, we hand you over to Ayo.
Thanks, Chris. And the main news again. The governor of Plateau State, Caleb Mutfwang, today declared that all local government areas in Plateau State are free from bandit control, just as he assured residents of their safety. Also today, the Kaduna State government has launched a safe school policy to help improve student enrollment and strengthen security for both teachers and learners. The Lagos High Court Special Offences Division has denied businessman Fred Ajudua's latest bail application, citing ongoing legal concerns. And Hamas-run health ministry has reported 104 deaths in Gaza within 24 hours, including 7 more children lost to malnutrition. That's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Ayo Tunde Balogun. To have a good night.